Pregame.tv SEC action. We have Florida Gators traveling to Kentucky. And Kentucky's near and dear to my heart because that got me my 5th win in the Golden Nugget contest into the quarterfinals. We talked in the last video. Some handicappers have been struggling, and I'm right. Hey, guys, don't throw the pie at me. I'm right there with you. I've been struggling in the Hilton myself in the LVH contest, super contest. So it has been a little bit of a tough sledding for the pros, but we're saying how Bryan, who isn't up till the last week in October in the Golden Nugget contest?
25th. Yeah.
25th, you may have already clinched a spot into the final 8 if things continue.
It's been tough. I mean,
it's the top 8.
And I'm just glad that I didn't get in the first few weeks because I haven't done any better.
Yeah, you might have done a little bit.
Yeah, slightly.
You might have done a little bit.
A little bit.
What's going on. But let's stay at task at hand. One thing that I want to share with you, as far as home field advantage, I'm a little worried about Kentucky's home field advantage because I know I spoke to someone who was the mascot. Actually, I think it's Aubie for the Auburn school.
You spoke to a mascot?
15 years ago, he was the mascot for Auburn, and he said he'd go to Georgia and stuff. They pour beer on him, and they try to set one place. He said they tried to set me on fire, and at Alabama. And he says, and when we went to Kentucky though or Vanderbilt, they said good job, play well. It's not quite
expectations.
Home field expectations. Break this game down. We'll start with Bryan Leonard.
Go ahead.
I don't have a lot to add on this game because I don't really want to play either side here. I'm concerned about Florida. Obviously Driscoll gets hurt, going with the backup quarterback. The defense for Florida is by far the best unit on the field for any of the 2 teams, the 4 units on the field. Special teams also. So I don't think Kentucky's going to put a lot of points on the board. Problem is, I hate to lay over 2 touchdowns or whatever in this price range on the road with a team that doesn't score a lot of points. That's my only concern. But, we saw that, of course, they weren't on the road, but Iowa, we've talked in the past about Iowa. Good defensive team, doesn't have a lot of offense, and they put up a ton last week. So, Florida athletically has the ability. They have the players. I'm just concerned about the way the coaching staff he doesn't risk a lot. He's more of a grind them out type of coach. To lay that kind of number on the road is a concern for me.
I'm glad you mentioned Iowa. I went to the Golden Nugget with my Iowa plus 12 ticket hosting Northwestern and went to cash it, and Tony Miller said, no, Steve, they have to actually play the game. And I said, it's just a formality. It's
right now.
It's a certain. Well, you got a piece of that, right?
I got a few Iowa tickets.
You got a lot of Golden. You're going to post those, right, on your...
I've been asking RJ to do it for 2 months, and we haven't seen it.
Never ask RJ to do it.
By the end of the season, I'll just give him only my winners to post.
There you go.
Pass posters on VR. You're the one that has to play on this. I know you're probably... if we were going to play the favorite, we don't play it now. If we're going to play the dog, we can wait. Correct?
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm usually one of those bettors that likes to take advantage of injuries, suspensions, weather, by going the other way of what you'd expect.
Overreaction.
Exactly. I like to take
Cleveland Browns last year.
I was on Cleveland.
I know you were.
I like to take advantage of the overreaction, and here's why. It's twofold. It's the perfect storm for a cover because you have an overreaction in the betting line, and then you have a better effort from the rest of the team.
Comes together.
They know they have to step it up when a starting player that's a star goes down. Everyone else has to bring their A game.
At least for 1 or 2 games.
Exactly. Then you want to back off them once the pressure comes off. But that initial hit when the betting market overreacts and the other players, how do you think the Cleveland Browns felt all week hearing about how that was the worst trade and how they've given up on this team?
Ping pong balls. They want them all.
Exactly. If you were a player, you know what? You had a chip on your shoulder going into that game. You had such a chip on your shoulder. And I usually like to take advantage of that. I don't think that's the case with Florida. Here's why. I was expecting Florida to regress a little because Muschamp had this team perform so well last year. He
defensively
increased by 4 wins from 2011. Exactly.
Yeah.
4 more wins than they did 2011. I thought that was more than what the talent had, what they had there as far as the team. They exceeded expectations. So I thought there was a little bit of a regression. Driscoll, as good as he played in his first year as a sophomore, only 5 interceptions. I didn't think he could maintain that with the players he had. He only had 1 wide receiver returning. He lost Gillislee, who was the thoroughbred back there that led him looks so good as a sophomore. Matt Jones, the running back, was supposed to come in and be the next great Florida running back, the next Emmitt Smith. He's got 30 carries for 90 yards. He's doing absolutely nothing. He's been a flop. So he's probably enjoying the Florida, being there and being the stud player and enjoying the parties.
Good cheerleaders in Florida.
Exactly. If you want to go, you want to go to Florida if you're a stud athlete. And I think he's enjoying himself a little bit too much because he's not doing it out there on the football field. So for me, I think Florida's a little bit overvalued still, even 20th in the AP. I don't think they're worthy of that. You look at Kentucky, they've had 2 weeks to prepare. And any time a team holds Louisville to 27 points, I'm pretty impressed by their defense. Because like you said last week, and I've been using it since, these kids didn't get the memo that they're not playing in the BCS championship. And they want to score 100 points a week on everybody.
They don't realize it's not a 14 playoff.
No one told them.
It's like
no one told
Oregon, Ohio State, and Alabama. And maybe one of those teams loses, but you need 2 of them.
Yeah, nobody told Louisville, and this team's trying to put up 100 points. And
Louisville,
again, an in-state rival. Yeah. If they could have done it to Kentucky, they would have done it to Kentucky, and they couldn't. So for me, that
kicker missed the field goal at the end. I'm sure some people out there
for the cover, but I mean for the blowout.
Right.
And I like this is Stoops' first job as a head coach, Mark Stoops. I think he brought a good attitude to this Kentucky
recruiting
team.
class.
Exactly. You have an offensive coordinator with that air raid offense. Now, you got to remember, a new offense like that takes time for these kids to learn when they're not used to playing it. The best thing that could have happened to them is having 2 weeks to prep for this Florida game. That's extra practice to learn this offense. I think that puts them in a great spot to have success at home and keep it within 2 touchdowns. Before the season started, this line was 20 at the Golden Nugget. That's back in July. That's what they opened this number, 20. I don't think Driscoll's worth the adjustment. That's the only reason I haven't fired with all cylinders on Kentucky, because I don't think there's as much line value as I would have hoped for.
You think we'll get a 14 on this game?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, that's
what I'm hoping for. Yeah. And even with that said, I don't think Driscoll is worthy of that many points. I really don't.
You going to win, Bryan? BR?
Like I said, I'm torn in this game. The Driscoll situation, half of the team didn't want Driscoll to start in the first place. So
yep.
I don't know what we're going to see out of the players, how you get the clicks and everything in the locker room. And I don't know if there's much of a drop-off at all at quarterback because he hasn't done much anyway.
No, he hasn't.
Sounds like a politically correct slight disagreement.
Yeah.
Slight disagreement.
No, I got nothing.
Neutral.
I'm rooting for you.
Neutral.
Go ahead and make it official.
Let's do it. Florida, Kentucky, I would have liked to get 20 back in July on this game. I didn't. But
up 7,000?
But
good job.
With that said, I think we're getting enough points with Kentucky. And here's why. Florida right now is a team that's a little bit overvalued. They're more or less riding last year's 11-win season. That was just too big of an improvement. They didn't have the talent for that many wins. I was expecting a slight regression. We're starting to see it. They lost in Miami, a team they should have been able to beat. They weren't able to beat them. You give Kentucky 2 weeks to prepare. They held Louisville to only 27 points. That's pretty damn good if you've seen what Louisville's done before and since. So for me, that's a lot of points. I'm going to go ahead and take the home dog Kentucky, wait for this line to climb up. Money's going to come in on Florida, that's for sure. So I like Kentucky.
Excellent. Very good.
Kentucky,
you guys ready to go back to the NFL?
Yeah. Let's get some pro.
Let's go back to the pro. Let's play it since you are in second place in the LVH contest, and everyone is texting you, congratulating you. As we speak.
Everybody yelling at you because you didn't like Kentucky.
The phones are going nuts. So we're going to be breaking down Buffalo hosting Baltimore. No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Stay tuned. Pregame.tv.
EJ Manuel.